Welcome back to the channel. I want to show you guys how to attach graffiti to a rock in Fusion using Surface Tracker and a text node. Let's check out our shot here. We have some graffiti on this boulder. And let's jump into Fusion and I'll show you how to do it. So I have a long clip here. I cut it down a little bit once the rock clears the camera so we don't have to track as far. So I'm going to select this first clip here, go to the start of the shot and jump into Fusion. I'm going to go ahead and reset this. We're going to choose Media In, Shift Space, and I'm going to type in Surface Tracker, and that'll add it next in line here. Now to work with the Surface Tracker, we have a few tabs over here in the tool. First one here is called Bounds. We zoom into the object we're wanting to make our points on. You can see our cursor is now an arrow with a plus sign. What we're going to do is outline where we want our data points to be. So I'm going to start here, and you just start clicking points and it fills it in for you. And you can avoid, I'm going to avoid this little branch here, but get an area here. If you need to move them around, you can hover over and they'll turn red and you can move the points like this. And if you hit Option and hover over it, you can delete a point if you need to. So now this is the area we're asking it to add some data points to. So the next tab is called Mesh. So if I click Mesh, you can see we have these little points. It's like motion tracker points. Now there's a few different options here. You could do automatic, which it's on now, or uniform. Just depends on what you're trying to track and how the results come out. You have a point number limit. So if you want more points or a little less, and then a minimum point spacing is how wide the grid is if you're looking for more data points. So now that this is set up, we're ready to go. If you do make any changes here, just hit Regenerate Mesh and then go to Track. All right, right now we're at the start of the shot, so I'm just going to hit Track Forward. As it tracks, it's going to add keyframes for every one of these little data markers to know where to track it. Very important when you're working with this Surface Tracker, you have to work from your reference frame. So any adjustments you'll make, I'll show you in a minute, have to be done on your start frame. So now if we click on Result, in this case we're on this box here, which is called Interactive Canvas. And you can see overlay placement here. We have go to reference frame or set to current. So it won't know how to track it from any other point except for from its reference frame. So right now, frame is 0 for this timeline. Now it doesn't know what to do right now. I want to show you a couple things. You can see our bounds box right behind here. If we don't have our canvas here inside the bounds, it'll get cut off. I'll show you what I mean. First, we're going to connect this text to our Surface Tracker. For the text here, I have a font called Another Tag, and I basically typed in this river rat here, and under Shading, under Softness, I increase the X and the Y and chose Apply Softness to Fill Color. And that just gives it a little bit of opacity to sort of sell that it's like paint. So from our text output here, I'm going to go into the green input of our Surface Tracker. And if we click back on our media out and send it to the monitor, you can see we now have our text. But if we look, it's getting cut off because of where our canvas is. So now that we have something in here, you can see if we move this around outside the bounds box, it cuts it off. So we basically have to be inside our bounds box. Now you can work with either the canvas here, you can use sliders, which works much like the edit page. So you have an X and a Y parameter, a pitch and a yaw. I happen to like how the interactive canvas works. And then there's pins, which is the same thing, but you have control over with these circles here. So I'm going to move back to canvas because I happen to like that. How this works is you can grab a quadrant and slide it around, and then you can grab a corner and start to move it in 3D space. So let's say we wanted this facing the sky, we could move it like that. So it's pretty flexible if you're working on like a building or something like that. And what we're going to try to mimic here is the angle the person might have been standing when they were spraying on the rock here, if they were. So I'm going to kind of angle it a little more. And this sells it on whether it's going to hit the curves of the rock, things like that. So now that we have it where we like it, we can click on Media out one more time, and this would be sort of what our final composite is. And if you go back to the start frame, you can always re-click on your tracker and make some adjustments, and it's going to work. Now there's a composite mode here. Whenever I go to add or something like that, I think I need to have it in the other input to make that work. But for now, I'm leaving it on normal. You can experiment with that. And then there's an opacity here. If we want it a little more see-through looking, you can see that'll help fade it out and sell it a little more. A couple things that make it work a little nicer here in the operation mode is softness and motion blur. So if we crank those up just a little bit, especially as the shot's moving, it doesn't look like such a composited piece. So let's go ahead and look at our final shot here. I'll hit Command F to zoom all the way out, and we'll hit play. And now we have this graffiti up on the rock. And if we slow down here, once it gets closer, you can see like the R's on this flat plane of the rock, and the V and the E are over here. So it really does a nice job looking like it's sort of on the rock and not just flat over top. So that's the beauty of the surface tracker. All right, so that's it for this video. A couple of nodes, surface tracker and a text node, and you can put something on any object you want pretty easily. All right, if you found this helpful, consider giving me a like and subscribe. I appreciate it. And otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video.